Welcome to the EO Thought Leadership Forum, episode number 7. My name is Joe Apfelbaum from EO Brooklyn, and today we have with us.
And I'm James Ashcroft from EO South Florida. Great intro there. I'm jumping
Yeah,
all over your introduction there, Joe. Sorry.
we're getting better and better at this, James, and
Yeah,
this is fun. So today we were
it's good stuff.
brainstorming. We were brainstorming and thinking about what are we going to talk about today. We're all out of ideas. James just sent an email. If you're not subscribed to James' website, you can tell everyone what your website is, or you can click on the description below, and we'll post his website.
Right. Yeah. We'll do that down the show notes.
So you were saying you were out of ideas, and one of the ways that we get inspired and we have ideas as to what to write about is through following other thought leaders. When we speak about the thought leaders that inspire us, James has mentioned to me in the past James Altucher. So is that a person that you look up to? Do you read his stuff?
Oh, absolutely, Joe. I mean, he's everything he writes. I get his emails. Right now, he's writing quite a bit, so probably getting 2 or 3 blog posts a week. But everything he writes, I print out and I read. Take the time to read. I just love his writing style. It's very vulnerable. He doesn't hold back, and actually, he has a method to his writing where he says that unless he's terrified to hit the publish button, he won't publish. So he wants to be
Wow.
kind of scared, opening himself up. So it's been a really good benchmark for me, because I'm actually starting to see on my blog post, the more vulnerable that I am with my own thoughts, and I have that jittery nerves. Those are the blog posts I get the most comments and emails back on. So it's really works, So I've learned so much from him, and just being able to mix, business life with personal thoughts and philosophies and stuff. It's been a huge eye opener for me. So I owe a lot to what I'm doing to his content, and also his wife Claudia, who's now doing his podcast show with him too. Just an amazing couple.
So besides reading blogs and articles and books, you also listen to podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
watch videos, completely immerse yourself into somebody else's content. Have you ever heard of Lewis House?
Yeah. Actually, I was listening to him on a run today.
Eh,
I was listening to his interview with Jeff Goins, which was pretty neat. So,
Yeah.
um,
He
um,
has an interesting podcast that I listen to on a regular basis. I check out his website, I check out his videos. He actually interviews some pretty interesting people, and he also has a method of how he does that. So for me, learning how to interview people, learning what questions to ask, he doesn't necessarily add a lot of value himself by what the information that he gives, but he extracts a lot of value from a lot of other people. So he has tons
oh,
of authors that are on his website.
yeah. No, I agree completely, and I do like his concept of the school of greatness, and the interviews he gets. He's top notch. He's on my regular rotation. So
Who else do you have that you are constantly reading and listening to and subscribing to? Because there's a limited amount of people. I mean, there's so many thought leaders out there. There's so many people putting out content. I get Seth Godin's email every single morning because I'm in the
yeah,
marketing
me
world,
too.
and so who else are you looking at? Who are your top 5 that you say, okay, these are the 5 people that I follow, or the top 3 people that I follow on a regular basis, and I'm always reading their stuff? Is it Gary Vaynerchuk? Is it the people that you know? Is it the people?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's the people I know, and then obviously people I don't know. But I feel like I know. I call those my e-mentors.
Your
Um,
e-mentors. I like that one.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're anything like me, Joe, you kind of get on these kicks, and then your podcast library starts adding up, and you have like 10 shows to listen to. But I always kind of come back to a few of them. One is actually by a guy named JB Glossinger. He's the morningcoach.com
Oh, cool.
guy. I'm actually in a mastermind with him now. I feel very lucky to be a part of what he's doing. Every day he puts out a 15-minute piece of content in the morning. It's kind of a part of a morning ritual. You listen to it, get your day started off right. He's on point about so many things, and he's been a great mentor to me in the last 6 months. Getting to know him here in South Florida, as well as listening to his content on this podcast. Gary Vaynerchuk. I just think he's fantastic. He's the execution guy. He's brutally honest, and it kind of gives me that kick in the pants that I need sometimes. To see someone else at such a high velocity. It makes me feel lazy sometimes, so it's good. It kind of kicks me in gear, which I think he probably affects a lot of people like that. I can't say that I have the drive that he has. I mean, he works 16 hours a day. He's go go go. That's not really my life, but I can take from his content that every second counts. So when you are intentionally living, then make it intentional and hit your goals. So those are three. Obviously, James Altucher, I just mentioned, not just his blog, but his podcast. He has an hour show where he interviews people. I mean, straight out of the gate, he was interviewing Mark Cuban and the like. So just great guests. And then he has his daily Ask Altucher show, which is viewer-submitted questions that he and his wife answer, which is great. A couple of others, Tim Ferriss is just fantastic, the human guinea pig. I just love the way he dissects leadership or results into kind of bite-sized morsels we can all wrap our head around. He's just really good at that. So I really enjoy his podcasts. Now let's say probably the fifth is in rotation. This guy named Rich Roll just came out with a new book, Plant Power Ways. He's instrumental in changing my life, on a physical level and spiritual, becoming vegetarian, doing the Ironman. It was all inspired by what he's done after reading his book. So he has wonderful guests. It's definitely a plant-based vegetarian show, kind of, along that movement. But he's just got phenomenal guests as well. So
that's
probably
awesome.
Those about five, yeah.
So for me, I definitely I'm reading Seth Godin stuff. I mean, I find it very fascinating, the creativity that he has and the way that he talks about marketing and generally the ideas. I listen to the HBR, the Harvard Business Review.
Oh,
podcast.
really? Okay.
That is they have 20-minute segments and authors on these very, very, very interesting concepts. I listen to that on a regular basis. I don't spend so much time listening to podcasts like as much as I'd like to do it, because I listen to audiobooks and I spend my audio time doing those, doing more books as opposed to podcasts on an ongoing basis. Every once in a while I listen to Hal Elrod's Morning Miracle.
Yeah, I've read his book and it's a great book. Yeah,
he has some interesting guests. So definitely check him out. Check out his book. It really changed the way that I look at my morning routine. I used to think that I was a night person, and it kind of changed my whole mind around. And when I write in the morning, like when, you get my Sunday morning email. When I write in the morning, my brain is so much fresher. And there are times that I've written the email the night before or the Sunday evening and then just knocked it out. But the emails are so much more powerful when I do it a couple of hours within the time that I wake up. They're so much more emotionally packed and so much more powerful. So using those morning hours to write, to consume, to write. Guy Kawasaki is a great guy.
Fantastic.
I don't know if you've read his stuff, but I read his book. There's one book that he published called Ape, author, publisher, entrepreneur, that teaches you kind of how to publish a book. And one of the concepts that always stuck out to me, and I just mentioned it to Dave Kerpen yesterday, another great entrepreneur, another great thought leader. I just mentioned, he writes that you should consume information like a hummingbird, which consumes 10,000 calories a day, at very, very high speeds. And you should put out information like an elephant, which produces 150 pounds of manure. So thinking about how much you take in and how much you give out. So give out a lot like an elephant, but consume like a hummingbird. Consume, a lot of information.
Interesting.
And the more information you consume, the more information you can give out. So for me, also reading books are very powerful. I just finished reading 0 to 1 from Peter Thiel, thanks to another EO member. Taejun Kang actually brought it to me as a gift. Very, very nice, awesome thought leader. He's writing his own book about his journey. He took his company public, 6 Dimensions. You look him up. And very, very interesting guy. Good friend of mine in New York. And the Peter Thiel's book's just incredible. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
mind
haven't read that. It's on my list. Probably in the next 3 books to read is a serial one. It keeps on popping up, and I've heard a few interviews with Peter Thiel talking about his book here, and I just hear it's fantastic.
Yeah, so in terms of like my top 5 people, that's kind of like what it revolves around.
Hmm.
There are always articles that pop up online that a lot of people are sharing, and so I read those every once in a while. For me, scheduling time to read has been really important because I don't have extra time. I don't have free time. Like if I have extra open time, I'll spend it with my family, my kids. Even
Right.
that I try to schedule in, how much, but like I'm not going to spend my whole Sunday reading or I'm not going to spend the time that I have that I could enjoy myself. I'd rather go for a run than sit down and read something. So I need to actually do that. I need to schedule it in. I love Tony Robbins, so like
Yep.
all his stuff is phenomenal. I'm very big fan of his. And then there are some classics that I kind of have to read over and over, like Stephen Covey stuff and the Napoleon Hill stuff, the Dale Carnegie
Yes.
stuff. Like those are like classics that you kind of have to read over and over. I like reading. So if you take a look at the categories of types of books that I read, I definitely don't have cookbooks in there. My wife has cookbooks
Right.
in her category. She has dozens of cookbooks, and she's actually writing her own cookbook. And you can check out her website at busy.
Good. That's great.
Yeah, and you can check out our website at busyinbrooklyn.com.
Check
But
it out. Yeah.
yeah, but in terms of the categories of the books that I read for what I'm interested in, obviously business is huge. Just in general, business books like Peter Thiel's book. The sales books like Brian Tracy's books and Zig Ziglar's books, those are fantastic. I love sales. I love marketing. So they talk a lot about sales techniques and methods. And I think that sales integrates in every aspect of our life. It's not just about selling, business. Just everything that you're doing is
Yeah.
about sales.
We're always selling.
Yeah,
Always selling.
we're always
I
selling
agree
an
completely.
idea. We're always selling something. So, and then another category is personal development. So, like the
Yeah.
Tony Robbins of the world and so on. And then another category that's very very meaningful to me is psychology. So books like Freakonomics and books,
Yeah.
body language books and
Influence.
yeah,
Influence. Yeah.
influence.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
like
It's
I
amazing
would
book.
consider that on right in between sales and psychology. So flowing from
Oh,
business to
influence can.
sales.
Yeah. Influence can fit in anywhere. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the psychology of human nature,
Yeah.
so I think it's a great content to have in your toolbox anyway. I mean, just going back to tie into what you were saying about making time for reading, and I think how Elrod's book Miracle Morning does a good job of kind of talking about how to prioritize your day and squeezing that into your morning so you start your day off right. For me, I think we've talked about this on other shows, but for me, right now, I'm really enjoying waking up, 5:30 in the morning and doing nothing but reading for an hour and a half to get that out of the way, to get my mind moving. Read some great content, great books. I'm really reading books in the morning, not so much blog posts and such.
So
But
what's that book? What's that book that you have right over there?
this one,
Yeah, that
yeah,
one.
well, this is called Plant Power Way. I'm just kind of sprucing up my scenery here a bit for you. But this is a great book that's important to me because I'm interested in nutrition, getting healthy, and vegetarianism and potentially veganism. I'm actually cutting out dairy for 30 days because I'm having some side effects of eating a lot of dairy. But so that's just a great book that I enjoy reading. It's like a cookbook, but lifestyle based.
So if you
Um,
are what you eat, are you also what you
yeah,
read?
absolutely. I mean, it just falls back to that Jim Rohn quote, right? You're the you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Okay, but you can apply that across the board. You can apply it to you're the average of the top 5 books you read this year. You're the average of of anything. I mean, so I really do believe that if you surround yourself with 5 great mentors, whether it's podcast, books, magazine article, whatever it is, and you really digest them at a deep level, they're going to profoundly affect you. You're going to start thinking the way these people think. You know?
What I love the most about Jim Rohn is his simplicity. Like there's
Oh,
so
it's
many things that he
the
says
best.
that we all know already, but we just don't do them.
Yep.
The simplicity is the beauty of it, is because it's so simple. And you know, Tony Robbins was inspired by him, and
Oh,
so
he
was
was
many.
Tony Robbins' mentor. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
great book here I have on my desk called "The Treasury of Quotes" by Jim Rohn. You know, it's like a nice little, I guess it's leather bound book. You know, but with just some great quotes separated by categories and stuff. So it's really nice to thumb through that and get some inspiration. When I listen to Jim Rohn, it's like a fireside chat. You know, it's like I don't know. He's just like listening to grandpa speak or something. You know, he's
yeah, yeah.
just so
There's this
simple and like right
There's
and
this
timeless. Yeah.
there's a 4-hour video online. If
Yeah.
you just search Jim Rohn, you'll see this video that he put out many years ago.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, he's not going to be putting out any more content now because you know he passed away. But he's a great guy. He's a great
No,
guy. He really made a great contribution to this world.
absolutely. And just to quickly get back to what we're talking about, making time for reading. I mean, you know, you can call it deliberate reading. You know, putting that on your calendar as important as a meeting. You know, it's investing in yourself. That's what it is. You know, I mean, you want to get through 200-300 page book a week, 2 books a week. You can't really leave that up to, you know, I'm going to, you know, time's going to fall in my lap and I'm going to read
Chance,
those
right?
books. I mean, you have to approach it. You have to approach it like I approach it like I'm in a class at school or something. You know, it's like I've got a book and I want to finish it in the next 3 days. So I'm going to get up early and I'm going to read for the next 3 mornings, so an hour and a half, and power through the book and get through it like a project. So I highly recommend people read in the morning, you know, exercise, do whatever you need to do to feel productive early in the morning. And that's kind of how Elrod has built a brand around. It's a great concept, you know?
Goal achievers. So
Yeah.
that's his thing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for doing this. And I really enjoy doing this podcast with you.
Likewise, Joe.
I look forward to seeing all of you at the next one. And this has been another episode of the EO Thought Leadership Forum. We hope that you enjoy it, and we hope you check out the other videos. Take care.
Bye-bye.